to kind of help protect yourself from these. I always I always say threat actors because we have to at my job, because that's what cyber insurance says. But hackers, scammers, things like that. They looking at passwords. Don't use the same email you use for everything else for your email and your bank account, especially. Change those two to something different, because what happens is there's things called data breaches where a whole bunch of passwords are leaked from a website, and it could be something Travelocity. I mean, it could be something completely benign that you wouldn't worry about, but then those passwords get sent they go on the dark web. People buy them for pennies for thousands, and they use those emails, those passwords, because people reuse passwords and they start using those to guess what your passwords would be for things that matter. And so keeping your email password and your bank account password something completely different is, and anything that has financial data, especially, you want to keep those separate. The second thing is you can use short phrases instead of passwords. So instead of saying Ryan 2016, which is, a common, that's like my Wi-Fi password at home. I'll let that out of the bag. But it's, instead of using that for your password, you can use a phrase. You can use like an actual, some sentence that uses more characters. Those are going to be significantly harder to guess and figure out. But because it's a phrase, maybe it's a phrase that maybe it's a whatever, something that's familiar, you will remember it because it's just multiple words ran together. So that's always like a really good one, because using those make stronger passwords. And obviously, I'm going to say obviously, but avoid using the same password everywhere. I always say that this is what I say to my customers: we are lazy password people, and we don't want to have 1,000 passwords that we have to try to remember. But try not using the same have a few varieties of passwords, especially if you're using passphrases. Email and bank and financial stuff, definitely keep those different. You can write them down if you need to in a notebook, as long as they're kept in your house. I don't go to the extreme of saying you can never write down a password, but don't keep them stored on your computer. A little notebook, near your desk would usually suffice. But have various passwords that you use for things. Or if you really want to go insane, and this is my favorite thing, is a password manager. So there are programs. A common one that I really like is called Bitwarden, and you can install it on your computer. It actually goes in your web browser. It goes on your phone, and it will manage your passwords for you. So you only have to remember one password for Bitwarden, but it will keep all your passwords kind of contained in there. And so you have a huge list of passwords that you can make very secure, because you can use generated secure passwords. So then you'll never be able to remember it yourself, because it's going to be like a bunch of characters at random, but it's incredibly hard to guess. And you can make sure that every web page has a different password. That's something I personally recommend for anybody. I have my family using a password manager here at home. Obviously, we use them at work. And password managers are definitely a good option, but it's not practical for everyone, and they're not always easy to figure out and use. So at a minimum, using a passphrase, not using the same password everywhere, and making sure that your financial information is using different passwords than everywhere else. Keeping your devices healthy. This is also a very big one. Install updates when they come out. When your phone or computer asks, do your Windows updates, do your Mac updates, do your iPhone updates, do your Android updates. Your phone and computer should be prompting you for most of these updates. Do them, because there are a lot of times security updates, and it's helping keep your computer and your phone at the top of security. And it'll, like on my cell phones, it'll say, we want to schedule this update for 2:00 when we know you're sleeping. I just say yes. And my phone does it all overnight when I'm asleep. If you're on a Windows computer, use antivirus. And antivirus is not even what it used to be. So old antivirus just protected from viruses. The newer antivirus actually protects from things like ransomware. And so ransomware mostly affects businesses, but it definitely can affect personal people too. They take over your computer, they lock your computer down so you can't access your information. And then they say, you pay us this much money or else we're going to delete your information. You're never going to see it again, or release something embarrassing or whatever it is. So using the new antiviruses often act as what we call EDR. It's an endpoint detection and response. So it's helping prevent those things too. Ransomware is about the worst thing that can happen to your computer. And so, making sure you're using a real antivirus and keeping it updated. Windows Defender has one. They have a higher level one. I would even recommend something like that, but having something will be huge. Installing apps, install from official sources. Like if you're on an iPhone, install from the Apple Store. Apple is actually very critical of the apps that go in their Apple Store. I forgot what this is called, but I'm an Android guy mostly, but I use iPhone for work. But they're very picky about those apps and vet them pretty well. So keeping to official sources, not downloading apps from websites that tell you need to go onto your phone and tell it to let you download these apps that override our security. That's a huge thing. Additionally, backing up. So back up important photos and files. With everything, iPhones, Androids, that's all tied to my Google account. So my important photos and files are already regularly backed up. If you have a Microsoft account, OneDrive does it too. And that stuff can automatically back up the files on your computer and your photos regularly. So if something happens, you're not going to lose it. You have a chance to recover it. So, if the worst happened. If you think you've been scammed, because you're like, I just gave my information to this guy and I'm not sure if that was legit. So stop contact with the scammer. Don't keep replying. Don't ask for your money back. Don't ask them to not do anything, because they don't care. They're going to keep trying to do anything anyways. And their goal is to keep you on the hook so they can keep trying to get more from you. So stop contact with that person. If you gave them important, like credit card information, debit card information, account information, call your bank or that card company right away. Let them know what happened and just explain it. Like, I think I got scammed. I think I gave them, my debit card number. That your bank will be more than happy to cancel your debit card for you and issue you a new one. They're very quick to do that. If it's a password reset, they're more than happy to reset your password and get you a new one. They're happy to lock you down. Change your passwords for your email, change your passwords for your important accounts. Again, banks, financial stuff, email, change those passwords, especially if you think that scammer got access to that password. You've got to change that. You want to change that password as many places as you can. And then you can report losses. There's a reportfraud.ftc.gov website. You can report that, but typically going to your bank or going to whoever, you got scammed through, they're going to do everything they can to help you and protect you, because they actually do value your business, and they know this stuff happens all the time. And it's very common. And as scary as it sounds, you actually have a lot of people looking out for you that want to help you fix it if something does happen. So, and just like I said, just slowing down has a lot of the benefits there. Taking the time to read it never hurts to question.